Trust Once Lost, Chapter 43, Part 2. You're a very smart filly, Green. You know what to say to nudge things in the direction you want them to go. Mirror Image pondered. It makes me wonder, are you guiding our conversation right now? What do you think I should say to you?
You think I'm trying to get you to say it wasn't my fault? Fishing for validation?
I asked.
Or perhaps I'm presenting a narrative to convince you of my guilt because I feel like I deserve punishment.
And? What punishment do you think you deserve?
I don't know.
Okay, if we were in each other's hooves, and you were the psychologist and I was the filly, what would you say to me? He questioned.
I would probably ask questions and listen reflectively without making any judgments. Like you're doing.
I said. Oh, so I'm glad we're on the same page, and you approve. He chuckled.
Yeah, but the reason I do that is because I don't know psychology, and it would be the easiest way to pretend I knew what I was talking about. I guess I answered my own question, didn't I?
I asked.
You're not gonna judge me.
Well, that's not why I'm here, he explained. I'm not a judge or jury. If you're looking for some pony to tell you if you did was right or wrong, I'm not gonna be the one to do it. I sighed.
Can you explain why I feel like this? That's your job, right?
Can you be more specific? He asked. I'm sensing you have a lot of feelings going on, and my job is to help you understand yourself. If I told you how you feel or justified why you feel the way you feel, then I would be doing you a disservice.
Okay, I feel anxious almost all the time. I don't like social interactions, but I learned about how they work anyway because I had to.
I looked down into the cup of water I was holding.
I hate how no pony seems to think about what they're doing or saying. How they get into pointless conflicts just because they refuse to consider the perspectives of other ponies.
Being gifted does come at a price. You can see all of these little things and predict how they will happen. You can see every perspective and every consequence all the time, he said. And do you think that it's up to you to guide others in the right direction? Was he trying to flatter me with that? Did he really think I was so narcissistic?
No, I'm not omniscient,
I said firmly.
It's not my job to guide every pony. I just don't want to do harm.
Even if you think they deserve it?
Does any pony really deserve harm?
I asked.
If a pony had to be harmed because it was the only way to protect others, or if being harmed a little now will help them in the long term, then it could be justified. But I'm not sure if any pony deserves to be harmed just for the sake of it.
I see. He noted something down. And this anxiety is fear that you're going to cause harm to some pony, intentionally or not?
Sometimes.
I admitted.
Other times, it's just the fear that every pony will hate me and reject me.
Because you can see that possible outcome in social interactions?
Yes, I can never predict everything.
I said.
Especially if I don't know them well.
You and I are not so different, Green. Mirror Image smiled. If you were just a little older, I might offer you a job as my apprentice. Manipulating every social interaction to have the best possible outcome is very emotionally labor-intensive. It's no wonder you're anxious all the time.
I don't know how to stop.
Well, no pony says you have to stop. It's about accepting it. He hesitated, perhaps seeing my expression before adding. I know that sounds like a platitude.
What am I accepting?
That you can't make every interaction have the best outcome. And when something does go wrong, that's just how things happen. Emotions are impulsive and fickle. Anger doesn't care. Sadness doesn't either. And it's not wrong to feel those things. And feeling anxious isn't wrong either. Not wanting to feel anxious is not wrong. Being a pony is, well, just as it sounds.
I can't do it.
You can't be a pony?
I can't just accept it, or be myself, or any of those other things ponies say. The way I interact with ponies when I'm being myself is that I don't. Because I don't care. Unless they want to talk about the thing I happen to be interested in at that moment, I don't actually want to talk with them, or acknowledge them.
I looked at the wall behind Mirror, and then back to a spot between his eyes.
Making eye contact, showing interest with posture, being aware of their body language and tone of voice, seeing through their words to their perspective. There's just a dozen things I need to do to have a successful social interaction, and none of them come naturally.
As soon as you start interacting with others, you start seeing those potential options, and outcomes open up like a floodgate, he said. It's exhausting, so you don't want to do it.
The only winning move is not to play,
I said bitterly.
Green, who are you?
He asked.
Not from my perspective, mind you.
I'm not a philosopher,
I deflected.
I'm sure if you labeled all the things you weren't, we would be here for quite a while,
he countered.
I can also see you're not a porpoise.
I felt like I had to force a slight smile at his attempt at humor. I still had no idea where he was going with this.
The question is too broad,
I replied.
Who am I? Well, you know my name, my address, so I can only assume you're asking who I am on a more fundamental level. Am I a consciousness? A soul? Do I really exist, or do I just think I do? I don't know. And I'm not sure what it would mean if I did.
Can I give you my perspective?
He asked.
Of course.
I see a green filly in front of me,
He said.
Around the age of 9. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
I can't deny that.
Okay. And you're here today, talking to me because you think something isn't right. Most ponies don't even get that far. That tells me that you care enough about yourself to talk to some pony like me,
he surmised.
I see a filly struggling with giftedness. You can see possibilities and perspectives, and it's exhausting.
It seems like the harder I try, the worse I feel.
I admitted.
And when I want to give up, ponies keep helping me.
You don't want help?
I want to give up.
Mirror Image looked over at the door.
You can leave at any time. I'm not keeping you here,
he said.
But I have a feeling you won't. So, what's keeping you here?
I don't know.
That's okay if you don't know. You don't have to know everything,
said Mirror.
I heard you tried to talk to a therapist before. How did that go?
I winced.
Not well.
I admitted.
I kinda had an anxiety attack, and then ran away crying.
Oh, that doesn't sound like a pleasant experience, he said. So from our little talk today, would you say this is going better? I won't be offended if you say no.
So far, so good.
I sighed.
That's good to hear.
He smiled.
Do you feel anxious when you don't know how ponies feel about you?
Yes, very.
Am I making you anxious?
What a question. You've given me enough hints that you don't think poorly of me, and given some direct praise. Most of it appeared genuine, though a couple of times I thought you may have been probing to see how I would react to undeserved praise. I could be wrong, though. You are well practiced at this type of interaction.
I will take that as a compliment, said Mirror. Speaking of, Miss Applejack, you've been quiet. Would you agree that this is going well?
Well, I can say it's going a lot better than last time,
Applejack replied.
I'm not sure how this is supposed to be helping, though. You're just telling her that it's alright, but it ain't. She's suffering.
Yes, I can understand that. Green needs every pony around her to be genuine, and their motives to be clear. She's gifted, and can see when ponies don't mean what they say. You could call it the social facade. She can see right through us. Her anxiety stems from these social interactions.
I'd put it off for as long as I reasonably could, but I really had to say something while there was an acceptable break in the conversation. We were on a roll, and I was afraid that Dr. Image would end the session.
Stupid child body. Can we take a short break?
I asked.
I need to use the restroom.
Of course, take as much time as you need,
Dr. Image said kindly.
We'll be here when you get back.
I pushed myself off at the couch, wincing at the twinge of pain in my leg. Applejack quickly came over to help, offering me her hoof to steady myself on. Outside the room was the wheelchair they'd used to transport me from the ward. It was adult-sized, so there was no way I could reach the wheels even if my hooves did work. It wasn't like I couldn't walk, though. I could see the bathroom down the hall, and fortunately it was unisex, so I didn't have to worry about those issues.
It's a fair walk,
Applejack said, noting my painfully slow pace.
I can push the wheelchair if you like.
Well, the long walk down the hallway to the bathroom would be tedious and very uncomfortable.
Sure.
I sighed, feeling even more useless. I only took 2 psychology courses, and man, it is confusing. Anywho, let's get on to our understanding donators. Top donators: Jessie Smith, Zar630, BadassWaffle, Onlyonething, Ceru, Orion, and Caladis. Matchvic, Jock, Luciisu, Darkside, Rayden, Runescythe, Will, Twinkie, Luigi, Chancer Crust, Big Smoke, Murder Princess, Low Mighty, Solar Symphony, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and love life to the fullest.